the first question should be, what is it that you really want? Hey there, welcome back to my epic journey. This is Brandon DeVere. Thank you, as always, for tuning in and sharing your time with me. I do appreciate that. Here we are on the journey from 600 to 0, back to 600, plus and all that falls in between. This week has been a little bit slow on the growth trail. We've added a couple, lost a couple. I'm about even for the week. As I was cruising along there, about 5 a week. Now about even, or possibly maybe even -1. Those things will happen. As I said, I'm not worried about it in the long run. It's unfortunate for those agents that it didn't work out for. Maybe it's something that for whatever reason it didn't work out, and hopefully they find something better and they don't regret in a couple years as our growth gets gets going pretty well. To look back and say, dang it, I should have done that. I've known a lot of those stories with some of the other companies, so that's just something that hopefully that doesn't happen. But it's part of the game. Any of you that are out there trying to grow, trying to attract, if you're a team leader, team owner, broker, any of that stuff, you're going to find out that it's probably already happened to you multiple times. People will leave for whatever reasons. There's going to be some attrition where we will lose some agents, and sometimes it's under our control, sometimes it's not. The best thing we can do is trying to control as much of it as possible, but also know that we can only control what we can control. So that's kind of a recap of the week. It is Saturday. We got some flag football today here at 4 o'clock here pretty soon. I'll be going to. But what I want to talk today about is the questions that we should be asking. So I'm reading this book right now called Supercommunicators by Charles Duhigg, and one of the things that I'm realizing, and I talked with my partner Sam yesterday. I just told him, I was like, you know what I'm finding out as far as being an agent attracting or recruiting, either one, it's not necessarily about like being good at selling somebody on something. And I guess sales in general, we talk about these certain things about like what makes a good salesperson or recruiter or attractor. And what I'm finding out is that like communication is massive. That's like to me the number one. And I think that we fail, myself included. And that's why I'm finding so much value out of this book, because, communication is tough. Prior, or my earlier years, when I say earlier years, probably like my first 4 or 5 years of attracting, and I still do it to this day. It's tough to get out of, right? We get excited about what we're talking about and what we want to share with these other agents, and how important things are to us. One of my previous coaches, he would tell me, this is back when I was with the XP. I still call him my coach. I'm no longer coaching with him, but I still get great value from him every now and again. But we were talking about recruiting, and he was telling me, he called me about a half hour before our first call. He goes, hey, write down the 5 things that you love about EXP. And this is probably one of the most important exercises I've ever had. And you still have to recall on it. Like, just because you learn something once doesn't mean you know it and you implement it forever. It's just like, any type of practice. Like you're everyone's playing pickleball now, right? So pickleball is a big thing. So pickleball, like, you don't just learn to do something one time and then you just do it right forever. You have to keep coming back and practicing it. Whatever it is, your kids are playing soccer, they're playing Little League baseball, they're playing football, whatever they're doing, swimming, whatever it is, it's still learning. And I think sometimes we get hard on ourselves because we think that we're old enough and we're smart enough to learn at one time and be able to replicate it over and over again. I mean, just look at golf, right? Golf, the ball doesn't move. Like, even just off the tee, right? It does not move. It's not coming at you like a baseball. You get to choose when you want to swing. You can do it whenever. You get to choose how far you want to step away from it, but it's still so hard, like, to replicate over and over again. So there's a handful of people in the world that can do it really well. But my point being is that we learn something, we try to implement it. Maybe we do it good a couple times, maybe we don't. Maybe it takes a long time. But my coach would tell me, so write these five things down that you love about EXP. And so obviously what I loved, the first thing I wrote down was you can build a team anywhere in the country and even all over the world. So we did kind of a role play. So he asked me to read, hey, what's your number one thing that you love about, or what's one of the top 5 things you love about EXP? I can build a team anywhere in the world. And he was like, oh man, I don't know. His role play. Yeah, I don't know. I can barely handle my own stuff. Like, why would I want to build a team? And like people are hearing what you're saying. You're hearing like they're thinking traditionally. They're thinking their bank of prior knowledge is thinking traditionally. Now they're gonna have to manage, grow a team all over the country, and they can hardly do. They're how am I gonna learn the laws in Texas? You know, if I'm over here in Florida, like how do I do that? What if I get an agent in Nevada? How am I supposed to help them, or California? Like, because the bank of prior knowledge is the traditional team model is done that way, right? Where it's everyone's local, you're on a team. So that's why you'll hear like downline or organization being said, because that's essentially what it is. Like when you attract somebody to Epique or one of these cloud-based brokerages that have a rev share model, what happens is you are responsible for attracting them. You aren't responsible. For myself, I like to stay involved with them and even their downline to help them, you know, at least get off the ground, right? I talk to or talk to some more than others, depending on their level of the help that they need, or if they reach out to me, or if I reach out, hey, how you doing? Need any help with anything? Sometimes I get, you know, I won't hear from somebody for weeks, and they're just fine. They're on autopilot. They know what they're doing, and they have their plan. But other times, other people want to have some help. But that's about it. Like the responsibility of a sponsor is just that, is to introduce someone to the company, and you get rewarded for, you know, sending somebody there. Just like a, you know, affiliate link. I talked about this before. Back to pickleball. If you wrote an article on read an article on pickleball, and somebody put links in there for the different types of paddles and balls and, you know, wrist guards or whatever, and you clicked on those links, all that person did was share with you what it was, and the link went back to Amazon. Likely you bought it from Amazon, and they got paid for it. They didn't give you lessons. They didn't teach you anything. Didn't teach you how to use it, how to tape it up, you know, the best serve. All they did was introduce you to it. So that's that on the surface level. That is all that it takes. So number two was, hey, you can earn stock. So what's your second favorite thing that you love about EXP? You can earn stock. Okay, awesome. But I don't know anything about stock market. That scares me. Like, so those type of things, like when we think things are awesome, like our level of communication is like, a lot of the times we're just telling people, and I come back to this. Someone actually just watched my videos. I met them the other day, and they said back to me what I said on my video, which is, you know, prescription before diagnosis. That's the thing where our communication is breaking down, is that, and again, I'm including myself into this. So this is not me like standing up here like preaching to everyone, telling them they're all doing it wrong. But what I'm saying is that, like, even my communication, I have to catch myself. I'm still working on it, and I'll start talking about the benefits sometimes and get on a roll before even getting down to the next level, because typically there are two truths, right? There's the truth that somebody gives you up front, and then the one that is the actual truth. For instance, somebody might say that they don't, you know, they're happy with their brokerage because, you know, they're never going to leave because of their loyalty, because how loyal, you know, because they're super loyal. And then you might find out that their that their broker has actually just fronted them some money before they're closing, right? And so now that's two different things, right? One is that, like, I love this person so much, I can't go, but the other one is more kind of the one is more of like a noble situation. The other one's kind of like a hostage situation. Is that, well, you know, I have to close this deal because I borrowed $8,000 from them. I owe them that. So those are different things, and you'll attack those, or you'll respond to those much differently during each one of those, you know, rebuttals or conversations that you're having. So, you know, one of the things when I've been thinking about the challenges of communication is the question at the beginning, and the title of this episode is, what do you really want? Is not just a question for you to think about what is it that you really want. It's also should be in your tool belt to ask people, what do you really want? Like, if you're recruiting and you're attracting people, what do you really want? So we talked about EXP coming out with their new rev share. Now I'm hearing that it's a little more complicated than originally that I originally saw. So I haven't dove into it, so I'm not going to talk about that. But I will say this: if you're talking to an agent and what they really want is rev share, then that's a great conversation to have in there with that the new change, right? But if they're wanting something, if they're wanting a transaction coordinator or listing photos or you know, for sale signs, things like that, then rev share doesn't matter to them. So if you're asking them, so if you you're coming off saying, hey, we have the best rev share program, we have the best this, we have the best that. It still doesn't matter if you don't know exactly what they want, and it does not help you in your attraction efforts trying to just say it's the blanket statement. And I had this conversation yesterday, and at the same time that there is no best brokerage for anyone or for everyone, there is a best brokerage for someone, right? So all this stuff, all this like battling, going back and forth, and this brokerage versus that brokerage, and this is the best, that's the best. It really is the best brokerage is what that individual needs. And sometimes it's not Epique, sometimes it's not EXP, sometimes it's not Real or LPT or whatever, or Berkshire. I mean, sometimes maybe it still is Keller Williams for somebody. Maybe Coldwell Banker is still the best for somebody. It's not up to us to make decisions for other people what would be best for them. And that's why the simple question of what is it that you really want, and then also asking like, how do you feel? Why do you feel that this is what you really want? Because maybe it's not what they really want, but you have to ask what is it and get that conversation, get more questions. Basically, I'm just saying ask more questions and get to know them more than just saying we got. Because I'm telling you, people are getting worn out, including myself, and I know this because I've heard it from multiple people. They're getting tired of people standing up on the treetops and saying, "Oh, I'm at the best brokerage ever," right? So, I mean, if that's you, congratulations, very happy for you. But I do know that there's a fatigue right now, and there's a fatigue on agents that there are agents out there really struggling right now, and sometimes they don't want to hear. There's things that they don't want to hear, and sometimes we're saying them without even knowing we're saying the things they don't want to hear because we aren't asking them what it is that they want to hear. And I'm not telling you to go out and just tell somebody whatever it is they want to hear. I'm telling you to ask them, and also be truthful with them if it's not going to be a good fit for them. So I'll leave you with that. Going into Saturday, the Knights won last night, so we are going to Game 7 tomorrow night. Very excited about that. But just leave you with this. What do you really want? All right. Probably won't see you tomorrow, but I'll be back on Monday. Have a great one.